back with a James Beard award-winning chef who is here to help us kick off June weddings with a real treat. She is making us bride's biscuits. Welcome back to our home, Cynthia Graubart. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. At the counter are Kimmy and Paige, and they're waiting patiently for these bride's biscuits.
Very good, very good.
And these are going to come together pretty quickly. Before we start getting into how to make this very special dough, can you tell us why they're called bride's biscuits?
Well, you know, a bride is nervous about making biscuits for the first time.
In the South, for sure.
You know, we Southerners love our biscuits, and as my friend Virginia Willis says, it's the bread of our people.
It is
so
the bread of our people.
we are serious about biscuits.
And everyone has the perfect biscuit. You know, depending on what neighborhood you're in, they're like, well, my biscuit's better.
Definitely,
Yeah, it's
definitely.
true. And these are easy. They're foolproof.
They're foolproof, exactly. So a bride is nervous about making biscuits, so these are special because they have an extra ingredient.
And what is that special ingredient?
Yeast.
Which isn't typical for
Not
biscuits.
typical, but that's the insurance policy for the bride to make her biscuits rise.
Okay, so this is a biscuit that basically anyone at home can make. If you are intimidated about making the perfect biscuit that's going to rise and be flaky, this is the one to make to impress your friends.
This is
right?
the one. This is the one.
So what did you just add?
So
in
we've
there?
got some baking powder and some baking soda.
Okay.
And we've got some
Was that sugar?
and
Right.
some salt.
All right, now we're going to fold in the butter, and it's very important that the butter be super cold, right?
Definitely, definitely. Want to make sure I've got this really whisked well so all those leavening ingredients get mixed in properly. But now I've got this cold butter, and I'm just going to sprinkle this over. And then I have some cold shortening.
Okay.
Can you remind me again why it's so important to have those two cold? I know I've heard it before,
I
but
forget.
This is what creates the steam. So you want those ingredients to be nice and cold when they go into the hot oven, and as they melt, they create steam, and that's what creates
The lift.
layers.
You know it was a flat biscuit.
No,
It still
definitely
tastes good, but it's really kind
definitely
of
not. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually snapping that fat into the flour. So it's
Never heard of that before,
It's a
snapping the fat.
snapping. It's a snapping motion. Number one, I like to get my hands messy.
Yeah.
You
A
know,
lot
it's
more
kind of
fun that
fun. I
way.
work out my aggression right here. You know. So now I've got that fat. So here we have the magic.
And it's nice and warm, so we know it's working.
So this is warm water and 1 package of active dry yeast and a little bit of sugar.
And you
so
can feel it working.
Yeah, so this is the yeast that you need to prove that it's alive. So you put it in warm water and you add sugar, and the yeast eats the sugar and gets all happy and foamy.
It's very sciencey.
Very sciencey.
So the yeast is asleep when it's dry, and then you wake it up when you put it in the water.
Exactly, exactly. So that's what it means when you proof the yeast. And now I have the buttermilk.
Okay. Would you always use buttermilk? Could you use anything else?
No, you could use cream, but I love the taste of buttermilk.
Yeah, it's
And so you want to stir this together. You don't want to spend too much time. You don't want to be too worried about it, but you want a nice wet dough. In fact, I'm going to use the rest of that buttermilk.
And I know you say if your dough is wet, don't worry, because a lot of people think, oh no, I've messed it up.
They messed it up. They keep adding flour, and that was just going to give you a really tough biscuit. So you want to be gentle. You want to have it nice and damp and not worry about the fact that it looks clumpy and not neat like a bread dough.
Now, do you worry about if there's still flour that doesn't look like it's completely incorporated? That's okay too?
When we start the patting and folding, it's all going to come together.
All right,
So I'm going
Cynthia, while you go wash your hands, I'm going to move this, and then I'm going to move our dough that we have rolled out on this other cutting board over here, because you're going to teach us one of the most important things about making the perfect biscuit is the actual folding, the rolling and the folding.
The patting and the folding. So I like to pat the dough out like this. And so I've already made a layer there by doing that. And then I just start in the middle and fold out, start in the middle
And
fold
the
out.
reason for this is?
So when we're going to split these biscuits in half, so we want that to split easily. So that helps make that layer that you are going to split.
And it makes it flaky, right?
you mean when they come out and you just kind of put your thumbs in the middle and you
like
just kind
that.
of like, well, oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's always a drag when it doesn't split nicely,
Aye.
isn't it? So this is
And now
the
we know
secret.
how.
So now you know the secret. Okay, so this is a beautiful dough, and because it has the yeast in it, you don't really have to be too nervous about handling it. It's going to be a nice, lovely dough. So here's my cutter, and you're going to dip it into some flour, and you're going to start around the edges. Mathematically, they tell me that's the best way to get the maximum amount of dough cut, and you cut straight down, and you don't want to twist your cutter. When you cut straight down, you're going to get a nice tall biscuit, but if you twist your cutter, your biscuit's going to rise like this.
Oh.
So you want
Your
nice
biscuit's going to
tall.
have a hitch and it's giddy
It's
up.
going to
Exactly.
giddy up.
Exactly.
You don't
So
want that.
We do not want that. So we just keep cutting. You need a little bit more flour.
Nice, and it comes out so
anytime.
smooth when you put the flour on the cookie cutter, right?
Right.
There's something so satisfying about watching you do
It
that.
really is.
You know, baking is so therapeutic.
It is.
It
A lot
really-
of people are afraid of
it's
it, but if you just follow the instructions.
Meditative and just a wonderful activity. Do it with your family.
And then, once you've filled up your cast iron skillet, you go around and you pat those biscuits with some extra butter.
Right. And we're going to brush them before and after baking. And I put these biscuits together, close together in the pan because I want them, they can help each other rise.
Okay, so when we do put them in, how long do they go in the oven for?
They're going to bake for about 18 minutes
There you go.
at 400 degrees.
Okay, oh, look at that. Oh, they popped up.
I'm getting my workout today. Ta-da!
That was worth waiting for. That
Aren't
is
they
for
beautiful?
sure.
Now you could eat them just like
Yummy.
that, but today we're serving them with some red pepper jelly and some beautiful pork tenderloin, right?
Right, right. So these are.
I think you need nothing with these biscuits. They look amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yes.
No worries.
jelly.
You could absolutely do just more butter and jam or jelly. But,
Look at that.
But these are, see how
that up.
quickly,
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
how nicely those,
As you
open.
continue to plate them and add the pork tenderloin in there, I want to ask you about your newest book, your most recent book, Sunday Suppers, which of course is about eating with family,
yes, you know,
spending time with family.
we all, you know, everybody's busy. We try to eat together as a family, but we don't really spend enough time doing that. And if you're having trouble doing that in your family, start with Sunday suppers. That's
great.
You know, just one night a week. Get into the groove. Invite your neighbors.
It's so important. I completely agree, it's important also to make sure that we taste these biscuits.
I know. Where do we start? With just the biscuit or?
Is there a tip about the red pepper jelly?
So the red pepper jelly, you you bring it to the boil with a little bit of vinegar, and then you put it over the tenderloin before you bake the tenderloin. But then you've got this leftover jelly, and you want to serve some on top of this pork, but you want to bring it to the boil again because it's touched the raw pork.
To make it safe.
So it's food safe.
And again, for anyone who may not know, red pepper jelly is huge in the South.
It is huge.
It's a big thing.
We
It's-
put it on
it's
everything. Absolutely
And it's worth
everything.
Pepper jelly. Thank you so much. I can't wait to dive into this. This is delicious. The full recipe will be at hallmarkchannel.com.